Alofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susanna Suiswiki. Coming up,
the influence of New Zealand in this motion of no confidence should be concerning to all Cook Islanders.
Another Pacific leader defeats a motion of no confidence. Also,
and I think that's really relevant to our people, but to his legacy.
Manukau unveils its newest mural in honour of its champion, and Samoa's netball team rise to the top. Cook Islands Prime Minister Mark Brown has survived a motion in Parliament aimed at ousting his government, the second Pacific Island leader to face a no-confidence vote this week. In a vote on Wednesday afternoon, the man who's been at the centre of controversies around his moves to introduce a Cook Islands passport and sign bilateral agreements with China in the past few weeks defeated the motion by 13 votes to 9 with 2 absentees. RNZ Pacific editor Koroi Hawkins listened into the Cook Islands Parliament and joins me now. Kia ora, Koroi. How did things unfold today?
Kia ora, Sana. Yeah, it was quite an interesting session. It started with some debate over the procedural things in Parliament as to when or whether the motion should be moved before an appropriation bill was tabled. But that was quickly cleared and went forward. The mover of the motion was opposition MP Te Ariki Heather, the leader of the Cook Islands United Party. Ahead of the vote, Heather acknowledged that Brown had the majority support in Parliament. It was quite clear from the seating that Mark Brown had the numbers to defeat the motion, but he said he was moving the motion on principle after recent decisions by Mr. Brown, including his proposal to create a Cook Islands passport to mark this year's 60th anniversary of the self-governance of Cook Islands, and also not informing Wellington what was in the exact details of deals that he has now signed with China, which has divided Cook Islanders, and we saw protests over the last week in this regard. This is part of what Te Ariki Heather had to say in Parliament.
So, Honourable Speaker, these are the merits that I am presenting before this House. We have the support of our people and those living outside the country, and so it is my challenge, where do you stand in this House?
Did Mark Brown respond to the accusations levelled against him?
Yes, Mark Brown responded at length. He was the last speaker in the debate. He talked about Cook Island's progress to being a developed nation, the need to stand on an equal footing, as he put it, with its development partners. He talked about the need for economic and financial independence before Cook Islanders could realize any aspirations toward political independence. But he also said that the issues that Cook Islanders face today, including the current situation with New Zealand being unhappy with these decisions, was not just about passports and agreements, but he said it was about Cook Islands expressing its self-determination. And he was quite critical about the New Zealand government and New Zealand media reporting on the situation. Here's a little bit of what he said in Parliament.
This motion of no confidence has been built on misinformation, to the extent that the mover of the motion, a member of Parliament for Murienua, has stated publicly that he is moving this motion in support of New Zealand. The influence of New Zealand in this motion of no confidence should be concerning to all Cook Islanders who value their identity, who value our commitment to our country.
So what happens now?
Yes, so the vote was finally taken, 13 votes to 9, with 2 absentees. The absent MPs are government ministers Dingika Elikana, who's in Solomon Islands, and Rose Toki Brown, who is in Fiji. Both ministers away on official business weren't present for the vote. Parliament's adjourned now until tomorrow to continue the debate on an appropriation bill. But we're also getting reports now of Mark Brown having written a letter to Prime Minister of New Zealand, Christopher Luxon. So we're yet to see what that letter contains and what kind of response that might elicit from the New Zealand Prime Minister. So still interesting times in the Cook Islands-New Zealand relationship.
14 Pacific countries will be able to better manage their tuna stocks thanks to a major grant from the Green Climate Fund. The grant, which has been hailed as historic, has a total value of $156 million and has been secured by Conservation International and the Pacific Community, better known as SPC. Tuna is critical for both food and economic security in the Pacific. The industry supports tens of thousands of jobs in the region. I spoke with the Director General of SPC, Dr. Stuart Minchin, and Niue's Minister for Natural Resources, Honourable Mona Ainuu. What makes this fund so significant for the Pacific region? Why is it a big deal?
Palapalai atu. And thank you for the opportunity to, I guess, continue my spiel on the importance of having this fund and also getting this much needed support. As we know, the research by SPC and Conservation International it basically showing a lot of an increasing risk from the ocean warming, which we know, I guess, being a minister of fisheries, that we talk a lot about the impacts of climate change and the warming of the ocean. So we're seeing quite a lot of significant changes in regards to where we are, where we were and where we are. So this is a really great opportunity for us to enhance and strengthen the work that we have done over the years. And absolutely these funds that has been announced, and I'm very, very pleased to hear that yesterday. And of course, Cabinet today were congratulating SBC and Conservation International in this huge effort. Absolutely, it's something that's really important to us. Tuna fisheries contribute significantly to government's revenue, absolutely with the economic development, community developments as well. So it's really, really important. And of course, this will absolutely increase our understanding and adapt, but also provide solutions for our people. So I guess, as I said yesterday, this announcement is historic. It's the largest finance we have been able to access from the promised commitments under the global climate commitment, and it's very welcome by us, of course. I'm an ocean creature, so I'm really happy any chance that we're able to receive funding support from our partners is absolutely welcome. As you know, GCF is a complicated beast to access anyway, but I'm very, very pleased that this has come to fruition by the work of Conservation International, but SPC as well. We rely heavily on information that we get from and data and records from SPC to allow us to undertake some of the work, and especially in forecasting and development. So absolutely great.
I might follow up, and perhaps I agree with everything the Minister has said first up, but to bring it back to really plain language from my perspective, tuna is hugely important for our region. We provide more than half the world's tuna from our region. It is the second biggest GDP earner for our Pacific countries in our region. So tuna is incredibly important to Pacific people. It's also important as a food source for our region. Our region relies heavily on fish, and one of the challenges which this project is addressing is that in our region, because we rely on fish for sustenance, we hit our local reefs systems, our coastal fisheries are very under pressure. So one of the key parts of this project is actually, for example, putting in fish aggregating devices out to sea from the coral reefs so that local fishermen can access the tuna stock, which is much more sustainable than the local reef fish stock, to provide food and market fish for their local food security. And the second part of the project is really doing the science and creating a predictive capability to much better track the impacts of climate change on the tuna fishery. And that will include really cutting edge work through partners like CSIRO and FFA in tracking the genetics of the tuna stock, which will give us a much better picture of the connectivity of different tuna stocks across the region and predicting the impacts of warming and tuna migration much more accurately, so that the countries can actually take action and change policy and engage in being in front of the curve rather than just being recipients of the outcome. So a really important underpinning of tuna science for every Pacific country.
A mural honouring Green MP, the late Whanana Efeso Collins, has been completed, and a blessing was held this week in Manukau. The project, initiated by Auckland Council's Eke Pānuku, was presented to the board during a workshop last month, coinciding with the first anniversary of Whanana's passing. Grace Viva'ai has more.
A year on since the death of Green MP Whanana Efeso Collins, the committed advocate and caring champion's absence is still being felt across South Auckland. Vasafia Collins shared a statement with RNZ Pacific, expressing her sentiments.
We are honoured, and this mural is a blessing to our family. Charles and Janine Williams gifting us this taonga has been incredibly moving. This mural project was created, driven and led by the community, and that makes it all the more special. It is a beautiful reciprocation of love that makes perfect sense to me because Efeso was a man for the people. We will treasure this taonga forever.
Pulu Rees, Autanga Vaya, chair of the Otara Papatoetoe local board, said Eke Pānuku volunteered to undertake this project at no cost. The result of this planning is a tribute to Whanana from the community, embodied in a Samoan proverb that encapsulates Whanana's legacy, which is painted on the mural.
The saying that's going to be on the mural is ele tu whaamango se tangata, and I think that's really relevant to our people, but to his legacy. I think it's important that every time you go through Manukau, you'll now see his beautiful smile, but also the message that he left for us. And so I think as we go into these times where there's division and people are being hurt and so forth, that message is even more prevalent and needed now than ever.
The mural was created by local artists Janine and Charles Williams, renowned for their unique style. Eke Pānuku collaborated with them on this project, which took over a week to complete. Janine Williams says it was a privilege to have painted the mural and share the mourning process with Vasa.
You know, as an artist, sometimes you don't really understand the impact of what you're doing. A lot of people don't understand that we had a connection with Efeso, and to be able to, join with her and process, what mourning feels like, and to do that with art, it's a privilege, really.
Barbara Edmonds attended alongside her Pacific Labour Caucus colleagues. She said looking at the mural reminded her of the man he was.
What's beautiful to see is actually people from all different political stripes here, a number of our Pacific leaders, because we acknowledge that even though we may never have agreed on everything, we were working towards the same goal, which was the aspirations of our Pacific people. So it's good to be here.
For Vasa and her children, she says Whanana's legacy will live on. A charitable foundation is currently in the works that will reflect Whanana's values and passions.
Our prayer is that this foundation will become a place of hope, somewhere you can trust will give back to the people and the community. In the meantime, for those who still wish to support a cause, we encourage you to donate to the charities below, which Efeso and I have supported for many years and continue to do so today.
Samoa's Tifa Moana national netball team created history in Brisbane on Saturday evening when they claimed their first ever Pacific Oz Sports Netball Series title. That came via a close 54-52 win over Scotland in the final and an undefeated 6-match run during the week, including dethroning 4-time winners, the Tongataula, on their way to the top. In recording wins against Fiji, PNG, Tonga and Scotland, Tifa Moana has guaranteed themselves a better world ranking, having started the event ranked 18th in world netball, behind Scotland, who was 10th, and Tonga, who had sat at 8th spot. Elias Atora has the story.
Tifa Moana head coach Natalie Matthews says the players' strong bond was key to their success at the recent series. She says that bond kept the team going even when the going was tough.
We knew that we had a strong team on paper, so it was really important to work on building a connection between the players, which fortunately worked really, really well. And I think through that bond is probably what helped us to obtain success that week and get us into those finals.
Matthew says winning the title was an amazing experience for her, but the work now will focus on maintaining their ranking on the world netball standing.
It feels amazing. I don't think I could have written a better storyline for myself, to be fair, to go out and debut, and for the girls to pull together 6 back-to-back wins on my first campaign is pretty damn special, and I'm really grateful. Obviously have increased our ranking, and we're not sure if we're in the top 12 until next month, and then we want to maintain that. So it just means we need to get the girls on court. They need to be playing games, which means that we can maintain that world ranking that we've increased.
Samoa was led by Christiana Manua, a stalwart of Australian netball. Matthew says the captain stood out and kept driving the team with her own inspiring performance.
Oh, absolutely. Christiana was so key to what we did. I think she plays with a lot of heart, and this meant a lot for her. So she definitely led, her. Oh, absolutely. Christiana was so key to what we did. I think she plays with a lot of heart, and this meant a lot for her. So she definitely led, her body was tired. It was a long week and she had played a lot of minutes. But the heart that she played with, she definitely gave everything to that campaign, and for that we're really grateful.
Meanwhile, Tongan Tala captain Hulita Veve says not playing in the final was a disappointment for them, but finishing in the top 3 was still something they were proud of.
It's always devastating not being in the grand final, and it's very new for us not to be playing for first and second, but happy to finish on a win, and I think we grew throughout the tournament, so yeah, super proud of the way we finished. We had 3 of our girls reach 50 caps as well, and we had 2 debutants, so super proud of them.
Veve says Tala's success over the past 4 years motivated other teams to step up.
I think it's so good, and I think for us, I think we raised the bar high, and as much as we didn't have a good tournament this year, I think every other country is stepping it up, and they gave it to us this tournament, and super proud, and look at all the athletes and the talent that's out there. It's super exciting.
The Tifa Moana side went through the Brisbane event with a winning record that included beating the Fiji Pearls 54-45, stopping the defending champions Tonga 55-52 and proving too strong for Papua New Guinea 70-52. Then in their classes against the 2 invitational sides, Samoa defeated the First Nations Black Swans 54-42 and beat Scotland twice 48-45 in their last pool match last Friday and 54-52 in the final.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For more episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, Tō whā sufua.